You watch flight attendants glide through airports like they own the place, calm, prepared, never rushing, never panicking. And you wonder what secret they are hiding. It is not luck, and it is not years of experience alone. It is a quiet habit most travelers never notice. A small stop at Walmart before every single trip. A handful of items that each cost less than $5, yet quietly protect their comfort, their health, and their sanity for hours in the air. Today, we are revealing 10 of those items. The exact tools flight attendants trust flight after flight, and one of them alone could save your entire trip from turning into a miserable one. None of these items require a special store, a travel boutique, or a big budget, just a quick 5-minute stop before the trip even begins. Stay with us, because the final item on this list might surprise you the most. Before we get into the list, if small travel secrets like this save you real comfort and real money, tap that subscribe button now, because Fly Smart After 70 shares tips like this every single week, and hitting helps more travelers see these tricks before their own next flight. Number 10. Mini pack of wet wipes. It sounds almost too simple to matter, something you would toss into a cart without thinking twice. Yet flight attendants treat it like a small emergency kit. Airplane trays, armrests, seatbelt buckles, and cramped bathroom counters carry more grime than most surfaces you touch all week, and a cheap pack of wet wipes lets a flight attendant clean a seat, wipe sticky fingers, or freshen up after a long shift without ever needing a sink. For travelers, the same trick works even better. A quick wipe before eating, before touching your face, or right after a crowded security line can prevent the sniffles and stomach troubles that quietly ruin the first 2 days of a trip. Many seniors carry hand sanitizer and assume that is enough, but sanitizers does not lift grime or sticky residue the way a wipe does, and airports are full of surfaces nobody ever thinks to clean. The real advantage is convenience, since a mini pack fits in a pocket, a purse, or a seat pocket without adding weight, and it works instantly with zero water needed, unlike a restroom sink that may be occupied or far from the gate. Smart travelers keep one pack in their carry-on and a second in checked luggage, just in case one gets lost or used up early. It costs less than a cup of airport coffee, yet it can quietly protect an entire vacation from starting with a cold. Some seniors even keep a pack tucked into a jacket pocket rather than a bag, so it stays within reach the second a sticky armrest or a dusty tray table appears without warning. Once you see how much comfort this tiny pack delivers, the next item on this list will make you wonder why you never thought of it yourself. Number 9. Single-use travel toothbrush kit. Long layovers, delayed flights, and overnight connections have a way of making travelers feel unraveled long before landing, and flight attendants know that feeling better than anyone. A single-use toothbrush kit, already loaded with a tiny strip of toothpaste, weighs almost nothing and takes up less room than a phone charger, yet it can turn a groggy, stale-feeling passenger into someone who feels human again in under 2 minutes. Most seniors pack a full toothbrush and a full tube of toothpaste for a short trip, both of which add bulk and both of which risk leaking inside a bag during pressure changes. A disposable kit removes that risk entirely, since there is nothing to leak and nothing extra to carry home and nothing to forget behind in a rush to catch a connecting gate. It also solves a problem many travelers never plan for: the layover that turns into an overnight stay after a canceled connection. Without warning, plans change, hotels fill up, and travelers end up sleeping in an airport chair with nothing fresh to use in the morning. A $2 kit sitting in the bottom of a carry-on quietly solves that entire crisis. Flight attendants keep several in their bags because irregular schedules mean they never know when a short trip becomes a long one. For travelers, the same logic applies every single time. Plans depend on something outside your control, like weather, mechanical delays, or missed connections. Some seniors even pack two kits, one in the carry-on and one buried in checked luggage, treating it as cheap insurance against a schedule that refuses to cooperate. Once you see how one small kit erases an entire layer of travel stress, the next item explains why your eyes might thank you even more. Number 8. Microfiber cleaning cloth. Airports and airplanes are covered in smudges, dust, and fingerprints, and most travelers never notice until they try to read a boarding pass on a smeared phone screen or squint through foggy glasses in a dim cabin. A microfiber cloth costs almost nothing, folds flat, and takes seconds to use, yet it solves a problem seniors run into constantly. Glasses that fog up walking from cold terminals into warm cabins, phone screens covered in fingerprints from scrolling through boarding passes, and camera lenses smudged from being tossed carelessly into a bag. Flight attendants use these cloths to wipe tray tables, window shades, and even sunglasses between flights, since a clean lens or a clean screen means fewer mistakes and less frustration during already stressful moments, especially when reading a boarding pass quickly at a crowded gate. For travelers managing paperwork, reading glasses, or navigating unfamiliar gate screens, clear vision matters more than people expect, especially under fluorescent airport lighting that makes every smudge look worse. Unlike a tissue or a shirt sleeve, a microfiber cloth will not scratch glass or leave lint behind, and it can be reused for the entire trip without wearing out. It fits easily into a wallet, a passport holder, or a small front pocket, disappearing until the exact moment it is needed. Smart travelers keep one clipped to their bag zipper so it is never buried under other items. A single cloth can last an entire year of travel without losing its softness, which makes it one of the cheapest comfort upgrades a traveler can carry from trip to trip. Once your view of everything around you gets clearer, the next item takes care of something your body will thank you for by hour 3 of the flight. Number 7. Travel size Saline nasal spray. Cabin air sits far drier than most people realize, often drier than a desert climate, and that dryness quietly attacks sinuses, throats, and nasal passages for the entire length of a flight, sometimes without a traveler even noticing until the damage is already done. Flight attendants who work long-haul routes learn quickly that dry cabin air causes headaches, nosebleeds, and stuffy discomfort that lingers well after landing, so many of them carry a small saline spray to counter it before symptoms even start. For seniors especially, dry sinuses can also affect sleep quality, appetite, and general comfort during a flight, turning a simple trip into hours of quiet irritation. A saline spray, unlike medicated sprays, carries no side effects and no risk of dependency, making it safe to use as often as needed throughout a journey. Many travelers wait until discomfort hits, then reach for tissues or rub their nose raw, not realizing a $2 bottle could have prevented the whole problem from starting. The trick flight attendants use is simple: spraying a light mist every few hours during a flight, especially before napping, which keeps nasal passages from drying out completely. It also helps after landing, when sudden altitude changes can leave sinuses feeling pressured or blocked. Since it takes up almost no space and needs no refrigeration, it slides easily into any seat, pocket, or purse without adding bulk. Frequent flyers often say the difference shows up the next morning, waking up without the scratchy throat or dull headache that used to follow every long flight before they started carrying one. Once you understand how much comfort a tiny spray bottle can add to a long flight, the next item solves a problem most seniors do not expect until they are already standing in line. Number 6. Folding reusable shopping bag. Between duty-free purchases, snacks bought at the gate, and small souvenirs picked up along the way, travelers often end up juggling loose items with no easy way to carry them, and flight attendants have quietly solved this with a folding bag that weighs almost nothing. Unlike a bulky tote carried from home, a folding reusable bag compresses down to the size of a wallet, meaning it can sit unused in a purse or backpack until the exact moment it becomes useful. Many seniors avoid buying anything at the airport simply because carrying extra items feels inconvenient. Yet a lightweight folding bag removes that entire barrier, letting a quick purchase stay organized instead of loose in already crowded hands, freeing both arms for a cane, a handrail, or simply a comfortable walk to the gate. Flight attendants also use these bags for a second reason many travelers never consider: keeping dirty laundry, used shoes, or damp items separate from clean belongings inside a suitcase. A folding bag can hold worn clothes on a return trip, protecting everything else from smells or moisture without needing an extra hard-sided container. It also works as a quick overflow bag if luggage becomes too full at the last moment, saving travelers from the stress of repacking under pressure at a counter. Since it costs less than a coffee and takes up almost no space, it becomes one of those items nobody thinks about until the exact moment they desperately need one. It also makes it a perfect emergency carry-on if an airline ever gate checks a bag unexpectedly, giving travelers somewhere to keep essentials close instead of losing access to them mid-flight. Once your hands are free and your bag stays organized, the middle of this list brings something that quietly fuels an entire journey. Number 5, emergency nutrition bar. Delayed meals, missed connections, and long layovers can leave travelers hungry at the worst possible moments. And flight attendants know that hunger combined with stress creates irritability, fatigue, and poor decision-making at exactly the wrong time. A small nutrition bar, wrapped tight and shelf-stable for months, solves a problem seniors run into more than they admit: blood sugar dropping during a delayed flight with no food service in sight. Unlike airport food, which can be expensive, greasy, or simply unavailable near certain gates, a bar sitting quietly in a bag costs almost nothing and needs no refrigeration, no heating, and no line to wait in. Flight attendants often carry one for exactly this reason, since irregular meal times during long shifts leave little room for proper eating, and a bar bridges the gap until real food becomes available. For travelers managing medications that require food, or simply prone to feeling shaky when meals get delayed, a bar removes the panic of searching for something edible in an unfamiliar terminal. It also solves the problem of connecting flights with barely enough time to walk between gates, let alone stop for a proper meal. Choosing a bar with modest sugar and real protein keeps energy steady, rather than causing a spike followed by a crash mid-flight. Since it fits into any pocket or bag without adding real weight, there is little reason not to carry one on every trip. Many seniors managing diabetes or simply sensitive to skipped meals say this single habit has prevented more than one uncomfortable moment during a long travel day. Once your energy stays steady through delays and long walks, the next item takes care of something almost every senior traveler forgets until it is already too late. Number 4. Refillable travel spray bottle. Full-sized bottles of lotion, sunscreen, or hand cream take up space, weigh down a bag, and often run into liquid restrictions at security, yet flight attendants solve this with a tiny refillable spray bottle that holds just enough for an entire trip. Instead of carrying a bulky bottle mostly filled with product you will not use, a refillable bottle holds a small measured amount that meets security limits with room to spare, avoiding the stress of a bottle getting pulled aside or tossed at the checkpoint. For seniors managing dry skin, especially in dry cabin air, having lotion or sunscreen easily accessible during a flight makes a noticeable difference by the time landing arrives. Flight attendants refill these bottles with whatever product suits the trip. Sometimes moisturizer, sometimes hand sanitizer, sometimes a favorite fragrance, giving flexibility without needing several separate bottles, all while keeping every carried liquid safely within airline limits and inside one small clear pouch. This also solves a packing problem many travelers face, fitting several products into one small clear bag for security without exceeding limits or risking confiscation. A refillable bottle typically holds enough for a full week away, meaning fewer items to pack and less weight to carry through a terminal. Since it can be reused trip after trip, it saves money over time compared to constantly buying new travel-sized products that get thrown away half full. Smart travelers label their bottle with the product inside, avoiding confusion when several similar bottles end up together in one small bag. Over the course of a year, travelers who switch to a refillable bottle often notice they spend far less replacing half-used products left behind in hotel rooms or tossed at security checkpoints. Once your skin and hands stay comfortable for the whole flight, the next item protects something even more important than comfort. Number 3. Portable travel door alarm. Hotel security varies wildly from one destination to another, and flight attendants who sleep in unfamiliar hotels several nights a week rely on a small portable door alarm that slides under a door or hooks onto a handle, alerting them instantly if anyone attempts entry during the night. For seniors traveling alone or staying in unfamiliar cities, this tiny device adds a real layer of security beyond a simple deadbolt or chain lock, many of which are older, weaker, or poorly maintained in budget hotels, especially in older buildings where hardware has not been updated in years. Unlike a phone alarm or a chair pushed against a door, a portable alarm requires no setup skill and takes seconds to place before sleeping, offering peace of mind without needing to trust unfamiliar locks completely. Flight attendants often mention this device as one of their most valued items, precisely because hotel assignments change constantly, and not every property offers the same standard of safety or staff oversight. For travelers, the same benefit applies directly, since staying in a new city means unfamiliar hallways, unfamiliar neighbors, and locks with unknown histories. A portable alarm weighs only a few ounces, runs on a small battery, and packs flat into any bag pocket without taking up meaningful space. Beyond hotels, some travelers use it on connecting room doors, cruise cabins, or even rental properties where lock quality cannot always be verified in advance. Since peace of mind rarely comes with a price tag this small, Many seniors say this device changed how relaxed they felt sleeping away from home. Family members who worry about a parent or grandparent traveling solo often say this single device gives them as much peace of mind as it gives the traveler carrying it. Once your nights start feeling safer, the next item solves a danger most travelers walk right past without a second thought. Number 2. Travel size disinfecting wipes. Security trays alone carry more contact from strangers' hands in a single day than almost any other surface at an airport, yet most travelers grab them without thinking twice, then touch their phone, their snack, or their face minutes later. Flight attendants who move through dozens of these trays every week understand exactly how much grime accumulates there, along with tray tables, armrests, and overhead bin handles touched by hundreds of passengers before boarding. A small pack of disinfecting wipes lets a flight attendant quickly clean a tray table or armrest before ever settling into a seat, cutting down exposure to germs left behind by strangers throughout the day. For seniors whose immune systems may respond more strongly to illness picked up while traveling, this small habit can prevent an entire trip from being ruined by a cold or stomach bug caught in the first hour at the airport. Unlike wet wipes meant for hands and skin, disinfecting wipes target surfaces directly, breaking down grime and bacteria that a simple hand wipe alone will not fully remove. Smart travelers wipe down their tray table, armrest, and seatbelt buckle the moment they sit down before ever touching food or resting their hands during the flight. This single habit takes less than 30 seconds, yet quietly protects an entire vacation from starting with sickness instead of excitement. Since the pack fits into any front pocket without adding weight, there is little reason to skip this step on any trip. Frequent travelers often say this 30-second habit has become as automatic as buckling a seatbelt, something done without even thinking twice before the flight truly begins. Once your seat feels clean before takeoff, the very last item on this list solves the one problem almost every traveler underestimates until they are already trapped in the air. Number 1. Silicone earplugs. Crying infants, roaring engines, chatty seatmates, and cabin announcements that never seem to stop all combine into a kind of noise most travelers simply endure, assuming there is no real solution beyond gritting their teeth until landing, hour after hour, with no relief in sight. Flight attendants, who work inside that same noise for entire shifts, quietly rely on soft silicone earplugs to soften the constant roar without blocking out important announcements completely, unlike bulky headphones or foam plugs that muffle everything equally. For seniors, uninterrupted rest during a flight matters more than people realize, since poor sleep in the air can worsen jet lag, increase irritability, and make the first day of a trip feel exhausting before it even begins. Silicone earplugs mold gently to the shape of an ear, staying comfortable for hours without the itching or pressure that cheaper foam versions often cause after long use. Many travelers avoid earplugs entirely, worried about missing a boarding announcement or a flight attendant instruction. Yet, silicone versions reduce harsh noise while still allowing voices and announcements to filter through clearly. This small difference means safety and comfort no longer compete against each other during a long flight. Flight attendants often keep a pair in every uniform pocket, since unpredictable cabin noise never fully disappears no matter how many flights they work. For travelers hoping to arrive rested rather than drained, this tiny $2 item can be the difference between landing exhausted and landing ready to enjoy the very first day of a trip. Passengers who try them once for a single long flight often admit they never board another plane without a pair tucked safely into their bag from that day forward, calling it the smallest purchase that made the biggest difference in how rested they felt after landing. And once you see how much of your comfort depended on something this small and this cheap, every other item on this list starts to make a lot more sense. Which of these 10 items are you adding to your travel bag before your next flight? Tell us in the comments below, and if you want more small tricks that make travel easier after 70, subscribe to Fly Smart After 70 so you never miss the next guide, and share this video with a fellow traveler who could use these $5 upgrades. Thanks for watching. Travel light, travel smart, and let the smallest items do the biggest work on your next trip, because comfort at 30,000 feet rarely comes from luck. It comes from a $5 habit picked up long before boarding even begins. And now you already know exactly which ones to grab before your very next flight leaves the ground.